Hey guys, what's up? Yeah, I know, it's been a while. I've been really busy with my day job, but with this new wave of fighting game news and a little extra free time, I figured it was the right moment to talk about a franchise I haven't covered nearly enough, Dead or Alive. If you watched the recent PlayStation State of Play, you'll know that Team Ninja and Koei Tecmo confirmed a definitive update version of the last game, and more importantly that a brand new Dead or Alive title is officially in development as part of the series' 30th anniversary. After years of relative silence, that's a pretty significant development. Now, I'll admit I haven't gone as deep into the series as some of you probably have. I've played it, just not extensively. But I do have a buddy who's a big fan. So I reached out to him to help put together our top 10 guest fighters would like to see in the new game. And just to clarify, we're only looking at brand new additions. In previous titles, other characters had already joined the Dead or Alive roster, like the many fighters from Virtua Fighter, or even, perhaps more famously, Mai Shiranui. Of course, we'd want most of them back, but instead of filling spots with returning guests, let's focus on 10 completely new ones. So, without further ado, here's what we came up with. Number 10, 2B from Nier Automata. Let's start with a character who has already proven she belongs in fighting games, 2B. Her appearance in Soulcalibur 6 demonstrated that her movement, weapon-based combat, and mobility translate extremely well into a 3D fighting system. She didn't feel forced into that engine, she felt designed for it. And that's important because Dead or Alive is also a 3D fighter built around movement, positioning, and environmental interaction. If she could adapt seamlessly to Soulcalibur's system, there's no reason she couldn't do the same here. Visually, she fits just as well. Dead or Alive has always featured strong, stylish female characters with, let's say, distinctive silhouettes, and 2B's design would blend into the roster almost effortlessly. She's a high-profile name attached to one of the most recognizable modern action RPGs of the last decade. If this new Dead or Alive is aiming to regain momentum after Dead or Alive 6 failed to reach the commercial and critical heights of earlier entries, bringing in someone with global appeal like 2B would immediately draw attention beyond the core fanbase. Number 9, Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. Alright, this one might raise some eyebrows. Even my buddy, the hardcore Dead or Alive fan who helped me with this list, wasn't fully on board with this pick. And I get it, Lara Croft is mostly known for gunplay and cinematic action adventure set pieces. On paper, she might seem better suited for a big, flashy crossover or even a platform fighter. But hear me out. Brand recognition alone puts her near the top of almost any guest wishlist. The Tomb Raider name carries enormous weight in gaming, and Lara is one of the most iconic female protagonists of all time. She transcends generations, consoles, and even mediums with new adaptations, constantly keeping the character in the spotlight. From a marketing standpoint, her inclusion would be massive. How would she work in a fighting game like Dead or Alive? Yes, guns are part of her identity, but Lara has never been a character who just stands back and shoots. She's highly acrobatic, dodging, flipping, and constantly repositioning, a style that fits right into Dead or Alive's emphasis on 3D movement. Melee combat is also familiar to her. In the Survivor trilogy, she uses her climbing axe for close-quarter strikes, stealth takedowns, and stylish counters. Tomb Raider: The Angel of Darkness even featured a dedicated melee combat system. Focused on agility, acrobatics, and close-quarter strikes, with limited, controlled gun usage, she could function perfectly within Dead or Alive systems. Add in the dozens of iconic outfits she's worn over the years, and you've got a crossover that would generate serious buzz. Number 8, Yugo Ogami from Bloody Roar. Now, if you watched my Virtua Fighter guest list, you already know I brought this one up before. And honestly, he might fit even better here. First things first, the big question. Do we bring the wolf form? Unlike Virtua Fighter, Dead or Alive already has a slight more flexible tone. It's grounded, yes, but it has ninjas, bioweapons, and over-the-top personalities. So Yugo transforming mid-match wouldn't feel nearly as out of place. That said, even if you keep him fully human, he still works. Yugo is primarily a boxer, quick, evasive, aggressive. And while Dead or Alive has strikes and grapplers, it doesn't really have a pure modern boxing specialist built around pressure, head movement, and tight punch strings. His style would emphasize speed, weaving, short-range pressure, and explosive counters, which actually fits beautifully into Dead or Alive's strike hold system. And let's be honest, Bloody Roar is criminally dormant. A crossover like this could reintroduce the franchise to a new generation. Just like Dead or Alive is trying to regain momentum after Dead or Alive 6 didn't quite hit the heights of previous entries, Bloody Roar could benefit from visibility too. Between his distinctive fighting style, transformation potential, and the sheer novelty of seeing a zoanthrope step into the Dead or Alive arena, Yugo would absolutely stand out. And sometimes, standing out is exactly what a guest character is supposed to do. Number 7. Eve from Stellar Blade. Now this one feels almost inevitable. The moment her game was announced, Eve became one of the most talked about new protagonists in recent years, and not just because of the gameplay. At a time when a lot of big budget games were dialing back overly sensual character designs, Eve went in the opposite direction. She was unapologetically glamorous, hyper-polished, and yes, designed to turn heads. And instead of her in the game, that bold visual direction became part of the marketing wave that pushed Stellar Blade into mainstream conversation. That alone makes her an interesting fit for Dead or Alive. Because whether people like to admit it or not, Dead or Alive has always embraced style, spectacle, and sensuality as part of its brand identity. Eve doesn't clash with that, she aligns with it. But she's not just aesthetics. Eve's melee combat is a high-speed, rhythm-based system centered on precision parries and acrobatic swordplay that utilizes successful defensive timing to fuel devastating, energy-enhanced physical strikes and aerial counters. True, perhaps she would be an even better fit for Soulcalibur given her dedicated swordplay, but she also works nicely in Dead or Alive. Especially if we can see her doing a little more unarmed melee and perhaps summon her sword for heavy strikes and special moves. After all, it is pretty cool how it retracts into her hairpin, so having this happen more often than just at her intro or outro animations would be a plus in my book. Number 6. Raiden from Metal Gear Solid. Raiden is a strong fit for Dead or Alive. With his cybernetic ninja design and striking presence, he feels perfectly at home in a franchise known for its memorable ninjas and high-impact martial artists. And with the announcement during the State of Play that Metal Gear Solid Master Collection 2 is finally bringing Metal Gear Solid 4 to modern platforms, Raiden is about to be in the spotlight again, making him a very timely choice. Raiden's combat is stylish, precise, and full of personality. He flips, spins, and even wields his sword with his feet at times. He's an expert at close quarters combat and uses his entire body as a weapon. That kind of acrobatic flair aligns perfectly with Dead or Alive's focus on movement, positioning, and flashy counters. He would integrate into Dead or Alive's systems with ease, and the matchups practically write themselves. Raiden vs Ryu Hayabusa alone would be worth the price of admission. Who wouldn't want to see that battle? Number 5. Vi from League of Legends. Vi is a legendary brawler who was brought into the broader cultural spotlight thanks to Arcane. She grew up fighting in the gritty streets of Zone, where she learned hand-to-hand combat from a young age and developed a relentless fighting style rooted in boxing and street brawling. Her combat scenes are visceral, direct, and physically expressive, showing her closing distance on opponents, weaving in punches, and using her athleticism to overwhelm foes. A fighting approach that fits naturally into Dead or Alive's emphasis on movement and spacing. Vi's most iconic gear is the massive Atlas Gauntlets, hex-stacked power gloves she utilizes in combat to enhance her natural skills. Though she is usually seen with them, including in 2XKO, they aren't strictly necessary for her to fight effectively. In Arcane, Vi regularly showcases her boxing skills without them when the situation calls for it, proving she's more than capable of holding her own in the arena using pure martial prowess. Furthermore, her personality makes Vi a unique addition to the Dead or Alive roster. She's tough, brash, and unapologetically confident. Far from the typical femme fatale stereotype, Vi typically doesn't rely on sex appeal to stand out. That said, her shameless confidence and flirtatious nature could lead to some pretty playful interactions with other women in the cast, particularly those who are more reserved. Number 4. Taki from Soulcalibur. Taki is a legendary figure in the Soulcalibur series, widely regarded as one of the best female ninjas in fighting game history. Her legacy stretches all the way back to Soul Edge, and she has consistently remained a fan favorite thanks to her fast, agile, and technically deep fighting style. Armed with her dual Kodachi and mastery of ninjutsu, Taki excels at deceptive, high-pressure combat. She's built on speed, constantly disappearing, rolling, and using somersaults to stay on the offensive. This focus on close quarters pressure and evasive movement is exactly what makes her a natural fit for Dead or Alive. Her ninja identity also provides some incredible dream match potential. Placing Taki alongside Kasumi, Ayane, and Momiji would turn Dead or Alive into the ultimate celebration of kunoichi culture. Number 3. Kazuya Mishima from Tekken. One of the most obvious choices for a guest fighter in Dead or Alive would be someone from Tekken, arguably the most successful 3D fighting franchise of all time. The only real question is, who? Kazuya is instantly recognizable and carries an intimidating presence that few characters can match. Moves like the Electric Wind God Fist have been a staple of the series for decades. His Mishima-style karate is brutal and direct, and seeing how his high-intensity offense would interact with Dead or Alive's defensive hold system would be a thrilling test of timing and adaptation. Now, it's true that the typical Dead or Alive audience doesn't always put male characters front and center, but Kazuya Mishima is not someone they would overlook. Number 2. Cammy from Street Fighter. Well, you probably saw this coming. Maybe not Cammy specifically, but certainly a character from Street Fighter. While Ryu, Akuma, or Chun-Li are the most obvious guesses, I suspect Team Ninja could surprise everyone and pick the English bombshell instead. Cammy is easily one of the most striking characters in the game, with a history of fan-favorite costumes that aren't exactly shy. From an aesthetic standpoint, having Cammy join the roster would be a powerful statement. But looks aside, she's an incredible gameplay choice. She's a high-speed rushdown specialist who thrives on constant pressure and exceptional movement. She excels at closing distance and forcing mistakes, a style that would translate beautifully with Dead or Alive's mechanics. In the end, while she might not be the most probable choice, she would certainly be a popular one. Plus, it would be one hell of a motivation for me to finally take Dead or Alive seriously. Number 1. Tifa Lockhart from Final Fantasy VII. There is no other choice for the top spot. For over a decade, Tifa Lockhart has been the most requested, petitioned, and modded character in the history of the Dead or Alive community. While other guests are fun what-ifs, Tifa is the holy grail. She is one of the few icons from the golden age of RPGs who doesn't rely on a massive sword or magical spells to win a fight. She uses her fists and her incredible athletic prowess. Tifa carries enormous cultural weight as one of gaming's most recognizable female characters. I've previously suggested her for Street Fighter VI, but she works even better here. Not only does she share the same blend of incredible strength and striking beauty that defines the franchise, but Tifa even has experience in a 3D fighting game through Ergain's God Bless the Ring, where she plays as a fast, close-range striker built around rapid punch strings, tight combo chains, and aggressive pressure. Securing Tifa would be an internet-breaking moment for Dead or Alive. If Team Ninja wants to make the ultimate statement with their next entry, they only need to make one phone call to Square Enix. And those are my top 10 guest characters I'd love to see in the next Dead or Alive. But now I'm curious, who's your number 1? Did I get it right with Tifa, or is there someone you think would shake things up even more? Let me know in the comments. You already know that helps the channel much more than it looks like. If you enjoyed the video, a like and a subscription go a long way. And if you want to keep the fighting game discussions going, check out one of the videos popping up on the screen right now. For now, this has been Cammyplayer, and I'll see you guys later.